Hello again, this is Preheat. Welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. So BlizzCon is almost upon us, but I wanted to make another video real quick here to just show off something that I've kind of added to the add-on that you probably saw in my previous video, the Voodoo favorite setup for augmentation. So as you can see here, I've just joined like a random group so I can show this, but as you can see, I now have the OmniCD cooldown showing to the right of the people who I've added right here. So this is actually a really easy process if you want to get this up yourself. There are some things you should be aware of though. So number one, whenever you're adding people to this, like if I'm, adding someone using my PT macro, at first it may not show their cooldown. Usually that does get added pretty quickly here though. I'd say the biggest thing whenever I was first setting up my UI for augmentation that I was getting annoyed by was the fact that in Raid, I didn't really have a good way to track when people's cooldowns were coming back up. Obviously on my grid setup, I have the ability to see like when people are in their cooldowns and their frames will glow, but having it actually show up over here on my private tank frames, the favorites list, if you will, for my previous video, this makes it just so much easier to know when people are actually in their cooldowns. And you can track anything with this. I'm only tracking offensive cooldowns, but obviously you're also able to track stuff like if people have a poison or if they have a bleed, or when their defensives are coming up. This is all information that you can add to it if you like. But yeah, just to kind of show this off, it'll show the cooldown on the ability if they just used it. If they're currently in their cooldown, it'll be glowing. They'll also have the icon over their frame here. So this makes it a lot easier to know who to buff and when to buff them. And I've also changed the colors here if you notice. So the background now on all of these is a dark color. If I use my Prescience though, that's going to put this yellow overlay that just shows that bar going down. The way I know which class the person's playing is by looking at their name. Their names are going to be class colored still. But overall, this has worked a lot better for me than the initial setup where I had it class colored. It gives it a certain sense of uniformity here, and it's easier to tell who I have my buffs on. Also, I noticed rogues, whenever I was buffing them, it would be really hard to tell that I was buffing them since it was yellow on yellow. So yeah, this is great because it means that you can basically have the same setup that you would have in dungeons where you can see people's cooldowns with OmniCD. You can have that in Raid as well, which is something that I felt like was missing with the previous UI I had whenever I was running Augmentation Raid. I might know like generally when someone's going to use their cooldowns based off of logs I read, but I won't know exactly when their cooldown is coming up. And this can actually be very, very useful information whenever you're actually playing Augmentation Raid, because you can know, oh, I should buff this person because they're probably about to use their ability. Also, if the ability is glowing, obviously you know that they're currently in their cooldown. So it's easier to tell that you should just buff that person to get the most damage out of it. But setting this up is fairly easy and straightforward. It's actually a lot more simple than I thought it would be. I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. So if you go into OmniCD, what you need to do is click on where it says Raids. And then you want to enable raids, and then you're going to tell it to position and then clip itself to Voodoo. And what that's going to do is it's going to make it so that it's only going to clip the ones on your PT, your selected favorites in your Voodoo, since you have that set up there. And it should just automatically snap to those frames. If you need to adjust how big the icons are, you can just go over here to icons, change this size. It's pretty easy to do that. And then you can also change the position if you want it to be a little bit different on the offset. But what I'm going to do is just give you my setup exactly how it is right now and all of the abilities that I'm tracking. So that way you can just import it if you want by clicking Profile Share Import. But I'll also just show it here on the screen. So under spells, I basically just went through every DPS class and added the ones that were damage cooldowns that I wanted to track. So it's going to be stuff like Empower Rune Weapon, Gargoyle. For Evoker, obviously stuff like Dragon Rage, a Breath of Aeons, although we wouldn't really be buffing other augmentation. But you can kind of get the idea. I already have all these preset, but if you want to change it yourself, if you want to customize it further, you can always click on whichever class it is and then choose whatever information to add in here. Also, it might be useful to add in stuff like potions, trinkets, all that, but I'm not too concerned about it personally because I think for the most part, if I'm just tracking their cooldowns, they'll probably give me enough insight into when I need to buff that person anyways. So anyways, this is the improvement that I've made to my Voodoo setup. If you want it, I'm going to add the profile import on the description below. That way you can just get this version of it. Obviously, if you're setting up the bouquets so that you can have like the bar for Prescience or like the buffs actually showing on the frames, you'll need to go and actually do that setup from my previous video. But hopefully with this setup, you'll be able to find even more success as augmentation. I know for me personally, it's definitely helped me be more aware of when people are popping their cooldowns and when I should buff them. So for a quick recap on how to install this whole thing using the strings from my Discord, all you need to do is first join my Discord. Right here in the UI setup channel, you're going to find the file that you need. I've also put some of these into text, but not all of them fit. So this one, the all-in-one ctitles, if you just click this little download button, that's going to download the text file. So you'll have this little text file right here with all of our strings. And then first up is going to be OmniCD import. So you're going to just grab this portion right here. You're going to type /OmniCD in the chat, press enter. You're going to click where it says profile sharing. You're going to click import. You're going to paste that bad boy in there and you're going to click decode. And then after that, you're going to import it just like so. And that should do the whole setup when it comes to OmniCD. For Voodoo, it's a similar story. So you go back into this file. First, you're going to want to grab the Aug Voodoo profile. That's this one at the top, and it is the largest one. You're going to have to scroll all the way down until this block of text ends right here. Make sure you go all the way to the equal sign and then copy that. And then you're going to need to open up Voodoo by typing /VUHDO, or you can click the little icon that looks like a blood elf here. That also works. Once you do that in Voodoo, you will need to go to Tools, and then you'll need to go to Import, and then you'll paste this in, and then you're going to click OK. And then for the bouquets, you need to go over to where it says General, and you need to click where it says Export Bouquets. And then right here, I already have them set up, but going back to the text file, first one is going to be my Prescience. Go ahead and grab this one like so, click Import, paste this one in, and then import it just like that. Also, make sure that you grab the second one here. So there's two bouquets that you're going to want. One is for tracking your own Prescience, and one is for tracking other people's DPS cooldowns. So you go in here, same story, click import, paste it. And then once you paste this in, you can just import that. Once you've done all that, just to ensure that everything is set properly, you're going to want to click where it says panels. And then you're going to want to click where it says hot icons, and then choose this setup right here. And we want to put our My Prescience here in slot number 2. And then you're going to want to click where it says slot 7 for DPS cooldowns. So that's going to put your Prescience up here in the top right corner, and that's going to put the DPS cooldowns right here in the middle. You can always make a change here if you don't like that setup. But also make sure you click where it says hot bars and choose this bottom option. I like it to have 100%, and then I chose My Prescience here for slot 1. That's what gives it the little bar on top. But yeah, if none of this works for you, what I recommend doing is just after you've added the bouquets, just maybe import the Voodoo profile again. Sometimes it takes more than one try. It's just a little weird like that. But after you're done, you should just see nothing here. There should just be a clear screen, no Voodoo at all. And if you click on yourself and then type /VDPT, or you have it in the macro, you should see it show up just like this. And you may not see the OmniCD showing up right away, but what you can do there to test it is type /OC_T, and you'll see the little icon show up, and you can type it again to turn off that test mode. But yeah, as long as you see that little icon show up on the right whenever you type /OC_T, you know that it's set up properly. Also, if it ever gets hung in raid, or like people are leaving the raid and it just gets bugged out where all the icons just aren't lining up properly, if you do that /OC_T thing and then turn it off, it should update it and get it properly working. So that's the best way I found if it ever glitches out to make it unglitch. And that's going to be it for today. So let me know how you feel about this new UI. I'm sure I'm going to be playing with it and making further improvements, iterations as the patch goes on, but I'll be sure to share those with you. I'd like to give a special shout out to Zephyrus for having the awesome idea of adding OmniCD to these frames. I basically just yoinked that as soon as I saw it in the Discord. And, you know, as always, if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more of my content, be sure to subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell, and hopefully I see you in the next one.